You know, I talk a lot on this channel about left-wing cities. I talk a lot about cities that have these woke district attorneys, horrible mayors, or even cities that are in states with terrible governors that end up signing into law terrible pieces of legislation that lead to crime spikes and make me believe that certain of these cities are just too far gone. And one of those cities that I've labeled as potentially too far gone is the city of Oakland. But today, I'm happy to tell you guys that there is some optimism. There is some hope.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Because residents of Oakland appear to be absolutely fed up with DA Pamela Price, and considering she was primarily elected in Alameda County because of those residents, that's a huge deal. But more importantly, Black organizations like the NAACP are demanding they do something about crime and calling out Pamela Price in an open letter. And when Black leadership starts moving against you in the Democratic Party because they have such outsized influence, change in policy becomes infinitely more possible. But before we get into this amazing story, I just want to say thank you to everybody who signed up over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And thank you to my podcast listeners on Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform.
7:05, the Oakland NAACP wants city leaders to declare a state of emergency because of rising crime.
Now, the reason I'm so excited about this, the reason I'm hyped about the NAACP in particular going after these woke district attorneys, going after Pamela Price, is because past history oftentimes is the predictor of future results. The NAACP and Black Democrats supporting the crime bills back in the 1990s was absolutely crucial to getting them passed and getting crime under control in this nation. If you'll remember, the 1990s was a time period where Joe Biden, of all people, was talking some serious truth related to criminality. Now, you might see these clips posted on Twitter or other social medias calling Joe Biden racist by people who don't understand how bad crime was in the 1990s. But let's be clear, we're trying to get the policy correct, not trying to just win the election for our team while the country deteriorates. So Biden back then pushing the crime bill was good. The NAACP pushing it back then was also good. The Congressional Black Caucus back then doing the same, also good. And them writing this letter about Pamela Price, also good. I don't care about partisanship. I care about policy. Why do you think I'm so apt to embrace Anna Kasparian for doing absolutely wonderful segments on criminal justice related issues? Because it's not about going after the other team for me. It's about getting the proper results, because oftentimes what we're seeing is that the damage is done and the cost is human life.
The head of the Oakland NAACP and Bishop Bob Jackson of Acts Full Gospel Church wrote the letter. It called crime in Oakland a crisis that mainly affects minority communities. Now, the NAACP statement said, quote, failed leadership, including the movement to defund the police, our district attorney's unwillingness to charge and prosecute people who murder and commit life-threatening serious crimes, and the proliferation of anti-police rhetoric have created a heyday for Oakland criminals.
Now, that statement sounds really good. I like everything about it. They call out the defund the police ideology. They call out the district attorney. They call out anti-police sentiment from within the Black community and point out that allowing crime to run wild is the thing that negatively impacts the Black community the most. And the Black community in Oakland is being negatively impacted right now, as is every other community. However, the full statement is so much better that we're gonna have to go to their website and read it for you so you can understand how on point the NAACP is. Quote, Oakland should focus on creating skilled industrial and logistics jobs that pay family-sustaining wages and vocational training so Oakland residents can perform these jobs. Unfortunately, progressive policies and failed leadership have chased away or delayed significant blue-collar job development in the city. The Port of Oakland and former Army base, that must change. Now, the reason I highlighted that section, if you've been watching this channel, should be obvious. It's because even though I love them calling out defund the police and all that, the fact that they're highlighting that crime is driving the poverty in Oakland, I think is even more crucial, and he cites two specific projects that have been delayed or shut down due to the fact that crime is completely out of control in the city. He says that the focus of the city should be to allow the creation of these sustainable jobs, allow people to be trained so that they can be productive, but their emphasis on going soft on criminals, the progressive policies, and failed leadership is chasing away those very opportunities. The Oakland NAACP released a letter affirming my position about crime driving poverty, not the other way around, and I'm all here for it. I don't even need to gloat about it. I just need to point it out and welcome them to the fold, because I can say this a million times, but it has so much more weight and significance coming from the NAACP that I'm glad that they're saying it. So all the cheers go to them. And again, this is an organization that is designed to fight back against racism, talking about how the sentiment against the police is ridiculous, talking about how defund the police is stupid, and talking about how these progressive policies are costing black people their jobs. So if you're going by the definition of disparate impact, they would actually be racist by their definition, but in my opinion, they're just stupid and idiotic. But the letter goes on, and it gets even better. There's nothing compassionate or progressive about allowing criminal behavior to fester and rob Oakland residents of their basic rights to public safety. It is not racist or unkind to want to be safe from crime. I could not possibly agree more with the sentiment expressed in this letter. There are so many gems in it. I'm going to link the whole thing so you could read it for yourself. It's about 2 pages. You definitely want to check it out because it's a really big story. It's a really big sea change that we're seeing in the city of Oakland, and considering they're already planning a recall campaign against Pamela Price, I think it's perfectly timed. And what made this timing even better than the fact that there's an upcoming potential recall is the fact that in addition to this, there was also a public meeting where Pamela Price was present, where she had to be confronted by her constituents and held accountable for her lackluster job as a prosecutor.
No, what we have been through.
Frustrated and angry tonight, hundreds of people demanding Oakland city officials do better to address their crime and safety concerns.
And as you can imagine, with an entire population fed up with Pamela Price, this meeting went exactly how you expected. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say they voted for Pamela Price, they knew she was a reformer and all of that, but that doesn't mean they expected it to get as bad as it can be. And unlike many other states, California has this recall process, which honestly I find to be a bit ridiculous, because you elect somebody to do a job for a couple of years and then they're up for re-election. In California, they have all these weird quirks to do re-elections and do-overs and all that. But in that state, they have the opportunity to do so. So measuring public sentiment from people who likely voted for Pamela Price is absolutely crucial. Measuring organization sentiment and review of her that probably supported Pamela Price, even more crucial. And this is all coming into a head, and we're going to see some results in Oakland. They already got Chesa Boudin over in San Francisco, so in my opinion, it's only a matter of time before we see this change in Alameda County.
It has gotten out of hand. I've been here 23 years. I've never seen anything like this.
So as you can see, residents of Oakland are lining up to challenge Pamela Price, and one of the reasons why there's so many people trying to get into this venue is because Pamela Price does not present herself to be held accountable by the public very often. And since all of these grievances have popped up over time and she's facing that potential recall election, she's trying to save face in any possible way. However, what we see from Price is exactly the attitude we've been seeing from her, which is absolutely no accountability taken, and you can hear that in this statement.
We need to do better as a community.
So when she says we need to do better as a community, be clear about what she's actually saying. She's saying that you, the residents, need to do better because Pamela Price has stated publicly that the district attorney's office has no impact on crime. Honestly, I don't even know why you're talking to me about criminality. I'm just the district attorney who's in charge of prosecuting criminals. If you want to talk about the impacts on crime, you have to blame everybody but Pamela Price, which is an attitude she carried throughout this meeting.
Mike, tonight's meeting was held in the Montclair neighborhood. There was an overflowed crowd. The mood was tense at times.
Now, the event was overflowing, as the news reporter said right there. We're going to get to how ridiculous and long people waited in line in order to confront Pamela Price, but needless to say, when people wait that long in line, when there's that many people trying to give you a piece of their mind and you're a district attorney, your electoral prospects are sinking incredibly quickly, especially when you have a terrible attitude and you're a crime denier and you ignore all of these issues and you have victims of the crimes that your office refused to prosecute present at this meeting.
While I'm driving and pull me out of the car at gunpoint, what are we doing to address this? And how do we solve this? Nobody feels safe.
At the public safety meeting inside Montclair Presbyterian Church, tensions ran high at times as audience members questioned Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price and Oakland Police Captain Clay Birch about crime prevention and holding criminals accountable.
So as you can see, you have a victim who was carjacked at gunpoint and she wants accountability for that. They muted this other woman, but you could see there's anger in the body language, and Pamela Price doesn't have a good response. Now they say that they've made some arrests in some carjackings. That doesn't really help the fact that carjackings are on a significant uptick in the city of Oakland, and Pamela Price isn't charging these people with any seriousness, even though there are potential enhancements available when you use a firearm in the commission of a crime. But the thing is, Pamela Price specifically has made it a point that her office does not charge enhancements.
Police said on Thursday arrests have been made in some carjacking cases, including this attempt caught on video along Skyline Boulevard. That may help to solve other cases.
This is an example of what I hear almost every week to almost every other day. We're out there constantly looking. We're using technologies where I'm hoping we're going to find the suspects in your case, just so you show OPD's not asleep.
Now look, I do feel bad for the head of the Oakland Police. I'm glad he's here, and I'm glad he's pointing his finger in the correct direction, which of course is Pamela Price, because there's not a lot he can do when he's down officers due to Black Lives Matter sentiment. There's not a lot that he can do when he arrests people over and over and over again, turns them over to the Alameda County District Attorney, and she refuses to do her damn job and prosecute them. So all of these criminals are getting out and repeat offending over and over and over again, and he's trying to say that his officers are working long hours in order to try to make arrests and solve these cases, but it's to no avail due to the woman that's right there, that of course being Pamela Price. So he actually kind of joins the crowd, in my opinion, symbolically during this absolute roasting of one of the worst district attorneys in the entire country.
DA Price was questioned about not charging 9 juveniles that were taken into custody for a number of robberies in recent months. She says the victims are unable to identify their attackers, and it was a seasoned deputy in her office with 20 years of experience who determined whether to bring charges.
So we actually covered this story on this channel specifically, and I pointed out in that video how ridiculous it is that Pamela Price cannot pursue charges supposedly against these people who committed 9 robberies. A bunch of them are on video because the victims don't have x-ray vision and they can't see through the mask. And when she cites a 20-year veteran on her team, she's not talking about a 20-year prosecutorial veteran. I believe she's referring to the same attorney we covered in this Oakland Overcharge the Police video, where that guy has 20 years as a public defender. So they're just lying about this, lying to the crowd. But the thing is, this was a mass robbery. They know who did it, but they're refusing to act on that information.
The deputy make a reasonable judgment that we could not prove those cases beyond a reasonable doubt. And it's our understanding that the cases are still under investigation.
Look at Pamela Price's discomfort as she's confronted with what she did. We know that you could charge these cases. We've seen robbers who wear masks actually be arrested for those robberies. It's happened before. You can use surveillance video. She's just pretending that she can't do it. And then, of course, she later shifts the blame to a completely different office.
Price says it's the probation department, not the DA's office, that is in charge of assessing juvenile offenders.
Yeah, the reason they're in charge of assessing these offenders is because Pamela Price refuses to do her job in conjunction with these offenders. She has all these diversion programs, deflection programs, and all of that she consistently puts violent repeat offenders through, including a story that we're probably going to cover at some point on this channel, where a guy who has a history of armed robbery commits another armed robbery while on parole for the previous one, shoots somebody during the course of the robbery, and Pamela Price was caught trying to send him to a non-punitive diversion program allegedly for non-violent criminals.
We saw people lined up outside the church an hour before the meeting, wanting the chance to ask questions and be heard.
Just think about that. Think about how bad you are as a district attorney if people are willing to wait an hour in this humidity that we're experiencing to ask you a question, to confront you. Pamela, you're in trouble.
Pamela Price needs to understand that there must be consequences when there are assaults on people in this city.
They just drive around and pick a victim. And it's getting scary. I'm fearful.
So unsurprisingly, Pamela Price showed up late to this meeting. How dare she actually show her constituents respect, even though she supposedly works for them. But obviously, you could see tensions are high and people are angry, and we will be tuning in to that additional meeting. But it is important to note when there are movements in the right direction, and we have two really positive signs that Pamela Price is not long for this position. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Pamela Price getting taken down a notch. Till next time.